When did you realize you weren't a child anymore? When I asked for a Cypher wet jet as a birthday present. You know you're getting old when the candles cost more than the cake. TBH, I keep having such moments. I mean, I'm all grown up, married and 3 kids, but from time to time something comes along reminding me I'm not a kid anymore. And not just the big ones like buying our first house or a new car, but simple things like making my son's breakfast, and realizing now I'm the big one, or going grocery shopping and being able to buy whatever I want, and then not doing so cause it's the adult thing to do. When my wife travels for work, I still go to the supermarket and binge on ice cream. 27 and still not sure. 32 and still a kid. Now, kids, your uncle is building a fort for himself out of cushions. Maybe he'll let you in if you ask. I know some 50-year-olds that are still kids. When a little girl walked past me and said to her mother, "I like that lady's scarf." Lady? Oof. I was working at Starbucks and a mother said to her little daughter, "Give the man the change." I'm not a man, I'm at best a dude. When I realized that it costs money just to exist. I had recently moved into my first apartment and just loaded up on groceries at the store. Checked the mail when I got home and discovered my first water and electric gas bills. I remember thinking it is going to cost me money to exist for the rest of my life. When I realized I could eat Nutella for dinner and no one would say a word. The best part about being an adult is you can eat an entire jar of Nutella and nobody can stop you. The worst part about being an adult is you can eat an entire jar of Nutella and nobody is there to stop you. Dropped my keys in a grocery store and a little girl scurried over before I could pick them up. She looked proud as punch for saving me from picking something up that was way down there on the floor. I wanted to hug her and smack her at the same time. It's official, I'm old now. When I had financial freedom from my parents and began to struggle. That hits you like a brick wall. I thought I was independent when I was in college. I worked damn near full time all the way through school, had plenty of disposable income. When I got my first job and the lifeline was truly cut, it hit me like an uppercut to the chin. Car insurance, groceries, rent that isn't for a crappy college apartment. It wasn't easy for the first couple years. When being ill became an annoyance. As a kid, you get pampered by your parents and get to stay home from school. As an adult, the responsibilities you have don't magically go away anymore, so you're both miserable and stressed out. Taking care of my dad, end of life care, funeral arrangements and all the weird stuff you never think about until it happens, like cancelling bills, clearing the house, etc. All that and being the go-to person for friends and family who wanted to know how he's doing, what's happening next. I hadn't seen my dad or known where he was until a few months before he died. He got in touch just as he was getting ill. He never managed to maintain friendships or relationships, so when the time came, I was one of just 2 people who cared. I dealt with this all in what I considered to be a pretty matter-of-fact way, have developed a heart of steel over the years, so yeah, reading your comments has certainly made me realize I feel a whole lot more than I thought I did. When my spouse gave me a nose hair shaver for my birthday. Was at the barber a few days back and did not fail to notice he ran his clipper across my ear hole opening and hit some hairs on the way. I am my dad. When I realized that I am going bald already. At least I have no problem growing a non-patchy beard, so I became the typical bald guy with a beard. I had graduated university, had a place of my own and a job, and was out doing some shopping. It occurred to me that I could and probably should just go ahead and buy some beer and some cookies, not for any kind of event or occasion, but just so I have them in stock at home. I wasn't planning to go home and drink 10 beers and eat a bag of cookies. I didn't even want either of them that day. I was just living a normal life and thought it would be good to have that stuff in stock. I remember it clearly. I had just moved into my first apartment 1,000 miles from my hometown alone. Got everything moved in and set up, didn't have much then, a bed, a TV, a couch, that was pretty much it. I had a rough day at work, lots of complaining customers and let me talk to your supervisor moments, and I was exhausted and emotionally drained. I opened the door to my apartment and there was silence. No noise from siblings, no parents sitting on the couch watching TV, no friends waiting to hang out. just the oppressing silence of an empty apartment with nothing on the walls. The kind of silence that echoes when you sigh. I stood in my doorway and had the realization that I'm alone in a big city with no support system, friends, or family to help me if things don't work out. It was a lot to take in all at once. When I was 13, I found an old box. I realized I hadn't played pretend in ages, so for the heck of it I sat down in the box and tried to see if I still could. I realized that while I was still an imaginative person, I could no longer see the scenarios and stories I used to play act in my head as a kid. When I pretended to be a princess, goddammit, I could practically see the marble halls and unicorns around me. I couldn't anymore. Made me cry, haha. When an adult tried to make small talk about the weather with me, I realized I was an adult when I caught myself making small talk about the weather. When I was a little kid, I used to have this weird ideology that everyone was born with a spark and that they just lost it when they became sad, boring teens adults, but if you didn't lose it you'd gain superpowers. And I really wanted those superpowers, so every night I'd always do a mental check making sure my spark was still there so I could become the chosen one. Fast forward a few years and I'm laughing with my friends about how stupid the whole thing was and pretty much went, yeah, my spark died a long time ago. Wait a minute. Looking back, it was probably just a coping mechanism for me trying to cling on to my childhood innocence. When I realized the adults in my life have no idea of what they were doing, they were just winging it. What do you mean? Are you implying that I'm not a child anymore? I'm clearly still a child, and if you don't believe me, ask my wife. She'll back me up on this. Finally, at probably the age of 20 or so, being able to get myself to eat okay food and have a semi-normal sleeping schedule and be able to complete basic tasks of life. Finally. Now, I thought I was no longer a child, probably around 15, when I decided I knew all the real secrets of life and humanity, largely due to a single reading and total misinterpretation of Camus' The Stranger. But then I went to college, almost at the age of majority and voting, and I realized I could not function on my own for even the smallest things in life. I couldn't do my homework on time. I couldn't get to sleep at a decent hour and get enough sleep to function the next day. I was eating horrible food that was horrible for me. I think there were days where I ate nothing but sugared cereal, ramen, and cookie dough. Many days. I could not figure out how to get through day-to-day life and still be able to do my own laundry. It would pile up so much and stress me out to the point where I started having sort of magical thinking that if I didn't put the worn clothes in the laundry bag basket hamper and just let them air out, they would be okay to wear in a day or two. I'm serious, I could not even eat or sleep in a way that allowed me to function as a human without the guidance of my parents, who were very hands-off to begin with. I went off to college convinced I was basically an adult. Once I got there, I realized I was basically an infant. Edit. For those asking how I am doing now. Thanks, I'm more than fine. This was a long time ago and I am many jobs and graduate degrees into my life and a fully functional adult with a family of my own. For those asking how I got out of that mess, I finally realized around my junior year that maybe I should be focused more on studying at school than socializing. I moved out of the dorms that enabled all that bad behavior and moved into a house with roommates, laundry, and a real kitchen. I focused on my schoolwork and the sleep schedule that would be better for that rather than chasing fear of missing out all the time. I socialized with the time I had left over and it was plenty. I liked school much more and felt like I was getting my money's worth. I stopped being so depressed because of lack of sleep, crappy food, and living in the dark playground of procrastination all the time. My mom told me she couldn't call to make appointments for me anymore or handle my medical legal business since I'm too old. Ucked me up. Was so confused since I was coddled for way too long. Almost 21 and still learning how to make professional phone calls. Template for professional phone messages. Hi. This is, insert first and last name. I am calling because, insert reason for call. Please call me back at your earliest convenience. My phone number is, rhythm is important here, blank blank blank, pause, blank 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 blank. Again this is, repeat from, to. Thank you, goodbye. Share your own stories in the comments below and please consider subscribing if you're enjoying my videos. Thanks for watching.